All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. Hope y'all are having a good day so far. So, I wanted to check out this video here. I didn't get a request or anything, but I saw this thinking basketball video pop up on my feed, and I know everyone is kind of having a conversation similar to this in the media. I'm not sure what sparked it anymore, but I know a lot of people are having this, like, could anybody average 50 in today's game kind of talk, and like Michael Jordan's name is coming up and all this stuff, and I probably have a different view on this than most people, because I simply can put it like this. Stick a prime Michael Jordan or a prime Kobe Bryant on a bad team, and right now here in 2026, yes, they could achieve 50. However, they're not winning a championship. Nothing good is going to happen. But can they do it? Oh, hell yeah. I think they could very, very easily. With today's pace and the three-point shots being chucked, they could easily get 50 a game. But they wouldn't want to do that if they were on a good team. So, you know, it's kind of a hard conversation, because if they were actually on a team built for championships, I think they would tap out around 35 to 40 points. That would probably be a good chunk. That way they're getting like 1/3 of their team's offense, and then the other 66% is being distributed to the rest of the team. And then that's them doing their job. And that's how I've always seen them do their job, because when they were averaging 30 in the league, teams were putting up about 90 points a game. So they were always getting about 1/3 of their team's points. And Jordan's scoring was increased in the 80s when the scoring was also increased. You see what I mean? There's always seemed to be this like balance of like the real killer on the team is getting 1/3 of your points. So nowadays, that would mean we'd have to get to 150 in order to get 50 in my mind. So I don't think it would end up there. It would land around 40 points. But once again, could they? Hell yeah, they could. Would they? No, because they're winners. Anyways, guys, I'm going to link the original video from Thinking Basketball down below in the in the description box. I don't know what the first YouTube video, everybody. So yeah. The link to the original video would be down in the description. Great channel, you guys. Great basketball channel here. So go check it out. You also see a list of channel members. Shout out to channel members. I appreciate you guys a lot. This is probably going to be one of those that gets copyright claimed, because I don't get the access that he does. So we're probably going to have a lot of footage here, and then, you know, it is what it is. But like preemptive, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. And while we're at it, welcome new channel member Alex. I'm gonna botch this, man. Kirschner, Alex Kirschner 9672. Welcome, man. I appreciate it. I'll be seeing you in the member section. Guys, I'm ready to do this. Like the video. If you don't see the hype button, that means it got copyright claimed. So obviously don't hit the hype button. But if not, please hit it. And let's do this.
If you're playing today, how many points would you average, you think?
All right, so 40, easy.
Like, you know, mid-40s. I can see that possibly happening.
I would average 45 points in today's game.
We estimate that Michael Jordan would have
Reggie.
averaged 45 points per game.
Easily, he could have averaged 45 a game if he wanted
Now,
to.
yeah. Now, I want you to hear, because it's going to get a little dicey here. And before we hear Thinking Basketball's view, could he? Yes. Now, if anybody says, would he? Yes, that's a little different. I'd like to hear them explain it. But hypothetically, could he? Absolutely.
47, 48.
Yeah.
He probably averaged almost 50 a game.
Damn.
Jordan would average 50.
Today, how many games
Would average 50.
Well, you got to understand, with the rules of the day, with the offense not allowed to touch you, can't come in and put 3 or 4 guys around you when you don't have the ball. Probably about 65 or 70 might be a good thing, you know.
Jeez.
How many points could a player average in today's game?
And what was saying that about the 90s, man? Come on.
The way the game is officiated and the pace of the game and the proliferation of threes.
If offense is more successful than ever, what kind of scoring numbers would the all-time greats put up now? Could someone really average 50 or even 60 points per game?
Once again, this is why it gets so complicated. Could he? Yeah, he could. Would he? No, because he wants to win. Okay, I'm going to stop saying it now. I'm going to stop saying it. But that's how I know I have a different view on this, because I don't think anyone is going to say it this way. He could score 50, but he would score 40 on an average.
But at 30, I could probably average 60 or 70.
Yeah, that's not happening. And we know it's not happening because of a fundamental concept that has governed basketball for a long, long time.
Would you like to tell Clyde how many points you would score if you played in the game today? How many points did you average?
We are asking the wrong question. When we want to know how dominant someone is, we shouldn't be asking how many points they would score. We should be asking how they change the scoreboard. If we sent Victor Wembanyama back to the 60s, his individual scoring is irrelevant compared to how much he would, say, improve his team's defense and thus his team's overall margin of victory and chances of winning. You ever notice when Magic Johnson comes up, we never ask how many points he would average in today's game. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but with Magic, I'd ask how many assists would he have in today's game, and I'd say about 15.
Larry Bird, Oscar Robertson, Steve Nash, and even Nikola Jokic. You know, many of the best offensive players ever, which actually is kind of related to why no one would average 50 or 60 points today. And yes, I understand that these questions are about the greatest scorers to ever play, Wilt, Jordan, Kobe, and so on. But when people ask this question, they're really asking about dominance and equating it with points per game. And that's why no one can ever accurately answer the question. We've talked about era adjusting stats before, and those adjustments are about understanding the context of each era. Scoring 50 points sounded impossible back in 1999 when teams averaged 92 points per game.
Exactly.
But when you learn that stars then only played about 75 possessions a night compared to Wilt's 130 possessions in a game.
Wow. Wow. What the heck? So under 90 and of over 130. That's crazy. That is a big difference.
Suddenly the scoring gap becomes clear. Obviously, pace isn't everything. We can adjust for minutes played, shooting percentages, and so on. But if we want to know how the great scorers ever would look today, there's a larger concept influencing all of these numbers. That concept actually creates an upper limit on individual scoring.
Players up front have gotten smaller.
You know, what we've seen in this era, you would see a Jordan probably shooting more threes too.
The way
they would, and then so I was just running it in my head because how many shots would that take? If you take all context out of the game and you just go dry, you'd go, in order to get 40 points a game, you got to put up 20 shots. Well, that's insisting they're all 2 balls. So imagine Jordan getting like 5 threes a game. That cuts out 5 of those. You know, well, that doesn't cut out 5 of those, but that's going to cut out 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2.5 shots. And then you imagine he's probably going to get like 15 points off of free throws a game because he shot about 90%. Or no, he shot like 85% or so from the line. So he's going to get about, at least 10 to 15 points off of free throws. At that point, man, he doesn't have that far of a way to go with his mid range. All he's got to do is put up like 20 some odd points in the mid, and he's good to go.
Play defense today where you can't hand check, you can't contest shots. You got to come on the side.
Now all of a sudden somebody blows on your wrist or hits your hand. That's a foul.
Yeah, none of that matters. What matters is this: individual scoring numbers are governed by the defense. Look at it this way. All big scorers start with a foundation of skills that threatens defenses. They shoot, they penetrate, etc. Then, as we've discussed before, a player's teammates influence how often he scores and how efficient that scoring is. And the defense itself is the final piece of the pie. Their first job is to take away the other team's biggest scoring threat. That's why there's really no such thing as a 30-point per game scorer, because it depends on how many other scorers and creators are out there pulling on the defense. So unlike baseball, where pitchers basically face batters in a one-on-one situation, the best basketball scorers rarely get to play one-on-one. They usually play 1-on-2 or even 1-on-5 if there's enough pressure in the paint.
But these are ISO trained players, and the only one I see right now who does this and takes advantage of this exact scenario where we see over and over again every game is Ant-Man. Ant-Man will once in a while he'll usually be sitting around here, but he'll say screw it and just go straight to the bucket with a crazy dunk. That's where I think the bread and butter for guys like Kobe and MJ are going to be, because they've never seen a wide open lane like this in their entire lives. So all of a sudden having that opportunity, that's where they're going to get, like, their shooting percentage is going to be sick, because the only time the shooting percentage is going to go down is when they're shooting deep balls. but the majority of their points is going to come right here. You know, clocking in at probably 90%, because when they miss a shot, they're probably getting fouled, and then they're going to get 2 free throws right there, which is money in the bank for these guys. That's why I like watching Ant-Man, by the way. He seems to be the only guy exploiting the wide open paint.
2 or even 1-on-5 if there's enough pressure in the paint. Here's a list of the biggest scoring seasons in NBA history based on the estimated percentages of teams' points scored while on the floor. Notice how rare it is to score 41%,
MJ? 87. That's a 37. Okay, yeah. And then Kobe had 40. Yeah, but this is on a bad team. Bad team. James Harden just went crazy that year because the rules were different. Bernard King, man. And there's Wilt. Jeez. So he put up 50, and it was only 40% of the team's scoring. So yeah, scoring was crazy back then.
Percent of your team's points. This is because the better you are at scoring, the more the defense can force you to pass. This is obvious, but it's a huge deal. If you are way more dangerous than your teammates, defenses give you way more attention. So these ultra high scoring seasons usually happen when superstars are surrounded with weak offensive talent. They shoot more and pass less, which is actually why play finishers like lob threats and three-point shooters became such an asset over the years.
Agreed.
On their own, they can't create good offense, but they can at least punish the defense for loading up on a great score.
Yeah.
And this is why no NBA player has come close to scoring half his team's points. Because whatever era we're talking about, whatever rules are in place, defenses still act like an immune system designed to disarm the most dangerous offensive threat. A great isolation scorer will see double teams or at least one extra body protecting the basket. A great pick and roll player will be trapped to get the ball out of his hands. Even an off-ball scorer like Steph Curry sparked these 5-man rules designed to limit his outside shooting, just like in 1957, Kansas swarmed Wilt Chamberlain in the post so he couldn't catch it near the basket. Heck, there was even a game before the shot clock where the Pistons just held the ball so George Mikan couldn't even play offense. If we go back to our pyramid, the scoring skills are merely the foundation.
This is how we get new rules, everybody. We got to exploit the rules to create new ones.
Teammates then influence the expression of those skills, and finally the defense creates an upper limit. They get to decide how much they're willing to give up to one person by throwing more and more resources at them. This upper limit isn't really a fixed
That's also why it depends. Are you on a good team or a bad team? Like we saw in Kobe and Jordan were on bad teams at those point. Because if you are in a good team, then it's harder to double, triple team you. As we found when they were winning championships. If you can't double and triple team me, game over, man.
But just about every defense will heavily curb a scoring threat that is disproportionately more effective than option B or C. Then it gets really fun. If a scorer ends up on a super team, the other options are so viable that the players naturally distribute the wealth, since it's actually harder to defend all these weapons at once from so many different places. 50-point games are awesome, don't get me wrong. But what's even more awesome is seeing one of these in person. And SeatGeek, who's been a great partner for us, can help make that happen. By the way, the hottest I've ever seen someone live.
Yo, who else wishes we could they could have seen the Showtime Lakers play at the Forum back then? I wish so hard. I could have done that just once in my life. If I had a time machine, I'd go back. Any of you who got to witness that, consider yourselves lucky. You should appreciate it, because that's an awesome thing.
Was Paul Pierce in 2003 in the third quarter against Al Harrington, where he just gave him the business right in his grill. That was incredible. But of course,
the coolest game I ever been to was 2007, I think it was. Phoenix Suns, LA Lakers here in Phoenix. Playoffs. Kobe Bryant was lighting us up, man. Like, we beat him still, but my God. We were chanting Kobe sucks. That was a big mistake. Kobe got pissed off and he was just scoring lights out. It was an incredible show. An incredible show.
They have thousands.
And on the other end, we got the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns. Great game to watch.
Basketball games, baseball games, concerts, festivals, and more. And I love the 1 to 10 scale and color coding that shows you how good the deal is. And then you can preview your view from the seat. And every ticket comes with a buy or backed guarantee, so you never have to worry. Also, underrated SeatGeek option is buying parking for all kinds of events that you go to. Use our code THINKING10 and get 10% off any tickets. Click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. That's THINKING10 for 10% off. And it's a great way to support Thinking Basketball.
Hey, I mean, anybody who can find a reasonable priced San Antonio game, Denver game, I'd say Minnesota game. Who else? I'm missing somebody very obvious here. I don't know. But yeah, if you can, Detroit game, if you can find any of these games, that'll be a really fun time.
On weaker teams, any attempt to keep scoring above a certain threshold is going to become more and more costly as the defense adjusts. That 50% mid-ranger is going to be a 40% shot against a double team, so you have to decide if you want to take that or trust a role player instead. By the way, this is why great passers are often the best offensive players. They're like a virus that the immune system can't quite corner, constantly shifting the pressure point the second there's a defensive opening. Now, you might be tempted to say...
It's also why Jordan, in his prime, when he was mature, he figured it out. If you go back and watch a lot of the first quarters, he'd only get maybe 8 points, like 6 to 8 points, but he'd be getting everybody else involved in that first quarter. That keeps, one, that wakes everybody up on his team, so they're ready to shoot at any point. Two, it keeps the defense confused because they're like, okay, well, we can't be sitting around doubling and tripling Jordan. He's hitting all these open guys. Then by the time the third and fourth quarter comes around, now you got to second guess. The other 4 guys are hot, but Jordan, you can't leave him single coverage or else he's going to punish you, and that's where you get a lot of his points.
Well, if Shaq or Wilt shot 80% from the free throw line, wouldn't they break this hard ceiling? With some basic math, we can see that Wilt would have averaged 53.6 points per game in 1962, which still only takes him up to about 43% of his team's points. Even if we look at smaller stretches where another teammate sat on the bench for a while, the craziest mega scoring stretch we have on record in the 21st century is 2019 James Harden without Chris Paul. And in those minutes, he averaged a ridiculous 45% of the Rockets' points, but that's still not approaching 50%.
Yeah. And that's with a lot of free throws because he was getting gifted a lot of free throws at that time.
That was basically as close as we've ever seen to a true one-man offense, a player who was directly involved in an estimated 76% of his team's possessions, and dribble, couldn't score half the points.
Nice pass.
And I don't think this 50% number is arbitrary because there's kind of a Goldilocks principle at work here for the defense. They don't want to send too little help because...
I'm a little confused, though, because you don't have to score 50% in order to get 50 points in a game in today's era. You don't, because the scoring is what, at like 116, 117 a game, something like that? So it's much less than that.
Or will torch them. But they also don't want to send too much help because then other players will have warm-up shots. There's kind of a just the right amount to force superstars to toggle back and forth between shooting and passing. And since there are transition plays and loose ball fouls and other random events during a game, it's basically impossible to run every possession through a mega score, and thus we never really get half of 100%. We get something more like half of 80%, which is probably why it's extremely rare for a player to even score 40% of his team's points.
Yeah, but in today's game, 50% of the points would be closer to 60 points a game. What would it be? Like, say it's like 116, so it would be something that ends with an 8, so like 58 points, I believe. 58 times 2. Hold on. Let's see. Let's say 116, I'm going to guess. Divide that by 2 is 58 points. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that would be 58 points to be at today's 50% mark.
To really hammer home how hard this is, look at the best individual scoring games in NBA history. Kobe Bryant's Dallas game where he scored 62 points in 3 quarters. Yeah, that was 67% of his team's points.
Yeah.
The 81-point game against Toronto, he scored 68% of his team's points while he was in the game. We don't have access to play-by-play data before 1997 to measure this exact share while a player was on the floor, but if we just look at an entire game, Only 6 players have ever scored 60% of their team's points in a single night.
Really?
Wilt and George Mikan played the entire game here, and you can see why Fort Wayne didn't want Mikan to have the ball back then. Even just scoring 50% of a team's overall points in a game is incredibly rare. It's happened about once every 500 games in league history, and from 1966 to 2000, it happened about once every 1,300 games.
Jordan. Yeah. Mikan to Wilt to Jordan to AI did it 10 times. Wow, AI.
So we don't really need any era adjustments because this principle has been around for as long as the NBA's been around. Players get tired, actions become repetitive, teammates want to feel involved and touch the ball and score, and most importantly, defenses tighten the screws to create an upper limit on scoring in most cases. Today's teams average about 115 points per game. So someone who played the entire game with a 40% scoring share.
I was close. I guess what, 116?
Would average 46 points per night. But of course, star players don't play anywhere near 48 minutes now because of the increased demands on the body with all of the cutting and sprinting in the half court. Tyrese Maxey leads the league at 39 minutes per game. He's already a bit of an outlier this year, but let's be generous and give someone 40 minutes a night in today's NBA. And let's give him that mega scoring rate James Harden had without Chris Paul back in 2019. And when we do that, we get 43.4 points per game.
All right, we're getting close to my 40 that I'm assuming that I guessed in the beginning, and that's why I wanted to.
33 points per game using high-end numbers that basically no one has ever touched, and it would also require a team with almost zero offensive punch surrounding the star. Remember, Kobe, Michael, and many of the mega-scoring seasons occurred because there weren't better options.
I disagree with that, though, because you're still leaving 66% of the scoring to the all the rest of the players, which still lines up with what Jordan and Kobe were doing in their prime. They were consuming up that 33%. So hitting that 40 mark is still right there at that 40% mark.
Scoring volume naturally dropped next to better and better talent. Even scoring 40%,
it's leaving about like 62% or something like that for the rest of the team.
% of the team's points on the number one and better talent. Even scoring 40% of the team's points on the number one scoring team in the league still only comes out to a point per minute. So it's very unlikely the high 30s are even happening once a player's supporting cast is decent. And yeah, it's fun to attach a number to our favorite players and think about how they would compare to today's era. I mean, if Jaylen Brown and Anthony Edwards are averaging 29 a game, then, what would Jordan average? Am I right?
I mean, okay, if we take Jordan's worst, when he had a terrible team in 87, he was scoring 37 a game. He's going to make like 4 threes at least, something like that. So we're going to add 4 points to it. So we're at 41 points. And then he's going to get at least another 7 more free throws. So we're at 48 points. Yeah, I'm saying he could average 50 on a bad team. So where me and thinking basketball are different here is that he's thinking they can average 40 possibly on a bad team and then 30 on a good team. And I'm bumping up 10 points. My math is saying he could average 50 on a bad team. But on a good team, the guy like Jordan or Kobe could average 40. That's where I sit with it.
But
Jordan averaged 50.
Is not going to happen. At least not without completely abandoning any concept of winning or teamwork. And to me, the bigger takeaway in all this is that there's a more holistic force always present in basketball that transcends strategy and even the rules. That's one of the big reasons we spend so much time talking about all the non-scoring ways to impact the game on this channel. Or, in other words, it's always been a team sport. To support this channel, patreon.com/thinkingbasketball. That's where we have proprietary stats on teams and players throughout the year. We also have a Discord community, and you can get all of our extra video content over there, or sign up on YouTube as a member, where we also live stream the podcast.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end on this one. Hope you enjoyed it and that you are having a great day.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. What's 29 seconds left? Hold on. Is there something else in here? just music? Oh, okay. He got me. It's just music. Okay. Great video. Fun conversation to have. Me disagreeing with thinking basketball doesn't mean I'm right, he's wrong, or he's right, I'm wrong, whatever. It just means we have a different perspective on this. I'm not sure how old he is, if I'm older, if I'm younger than him, or anything like that. But we definitely have a different perspective on it, and I don't see any problem with that. I'm curious what you guys think. I don't need to reiterate my thought process on here. I think I made it very clear how I'm coming to the numbers that I'm coming to, and why, and in what context these numbers would come about. Because we all know it's a totally different thing if you're going on solo mission, you know, like we've seen Kobe and Jordan and AI have to do in their career, where it's like, man, we got to make the freaking playoffs one way or another. Someone's got to score. That someone's me. Let's do this, you know? So solo mission, obviously, you're going to score a lot more points. But if you're on a championship hunt, on a championship team, obviously your role is going to change and you're going to score less points, unless you're a freaking ball hog and you don't want to win. So I have my context, and I'm curious what you guys think about this. What do you think the best scorers, you know, in history could score today? And what do you think they would score today? Could and would, very different things. So let me know in the comments. I appreciate y'all watching. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And most importantly, is to be water, my friends. Peace out.